founder at Minuttia, and I have um, Zach with me, who is just trying to make sure that everything is okay and that we are actually streaming live. I guess on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. And then we have Milita, who is our content lead. Hi, Milita. And we also have Adrian, who is our SEO AO lead. Hi, Adrian. And today we are going to discuss how we use AI at Minusia, and we will share just a tiny fraction of the use cases, right? Because I'm getting like too much into this AI world, and like um I constantly like find myself getting into or jumping into rather rabbit holes, AI rabbit holes. And so what you're going to see is just a fraction, as I said, of like the things we actually do and implement. Zach, I don't know if everything is okay with like the live
Yeah,
stream and the you know
yeah, we're
settings and
live on
whatnot.
we're live on both LinkedIn and YouTube, so we are good to go.
Okay, so what I was thinking is like, okay, we need to make it this session a bit specific, and I don't want it to be very loose in terms of like the things we share, because as I shared, like there are so many use cases, but we need to focus so that you actually, people who watch this live or who will watch the recording actually get value from it, right? So the way I would go about it is that I have a few tabs open, and I would like to break this down or break kind of the use cases into three categories. The first is tools, and we will share a few tools. The second is workflows, and I will share just one workflow. And the third one is microsites, and I will share a microsite. Obviously, throughout, you can leave comments and ask questions and whatnot. And the same applies to the people in this like meeting, right? So without any further ado, which is a 100% like LLM sentence, let me just share my screen and just go. Oh, yeah, okay. So the first one, tools. Okay, so we are going to discuss tools. I guess this one is a tool that Zach built. So Zach, would you like to just share with people, and I will, scroll down if you'd like me to, what this is about and like what was the use case and how you went about building it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that was an idea that I actually should credit to Alex Lieberman, who is the founder of StoryArb, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, this was an initiative for employee advocacy in order, let's say, to uh, influence them in order to produce more content and create actually a competition regarding producing content that will directly or indirectly promote the work that they are doing at StoryArb, a few things about the business standpoint, a few other posts, and so on. And the need behind that competition was actually how to track the posts, how, let's say, to figure out who will be the winner of the award and so on, and how, let's say, to have a robust system that you can view all the submissions from the posts and so on and review like a leaderboard in order, let's say, somehow to make a gamification approach in order to make others also more willing and more invested into this activity. So in that context, we actually try to do a similar initiative early in December this in 2025, and we actually created a similar approach with an event with a competition on LinkedIn. And we created this platform actually to track the team's progress in order to help them submit their posts there, to track the impressions and the overall, let's say, impact from uh, the posts. And also on top of that, we also created a zap and a notification in order every Friday to remind to our people to submit their new posts, because as you already know, impressions on LinkedIn are really, let's say, they are going up and up, and it's not like a static number. So you need actually to leave a couple of few days in order to track them properly, and that's why we try to ask our people to submit the posts weekly. So I went into Bolt, I described all the need, what I wanted to achieve, and so on, and it created this platform. From there, I also added the brand colors, the brand identity, Minutia's logo, and so on to try to incorporate it and make it something like close to our brand identity. And also on top of that, I also created a settings button, which is on the top right corner, and if you go into there, I mean, it's not for the time being, but the admins can actually see all the posts. I can also remove duplicate posts, adjust the numbers. If let's say a post actually went viral and we need to adjust the impressions and so on, I can take a screenshot from the leaderboard and everything. So this is also really helpful for us to understand how that works uh, for us on the back end, if it makes sense as an initiative and so on. Many good learnings from this process, but yeah, this was pretty much the overview of how of what this is and how we approach it. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't something difficult to build with a web, let's say, browser builder like Bolt or Lovable. You can use the one that, let's say, you feel more comfortable about. And yeah, pretty much it connects the database that you will need and everything. So yeah.
And just for the record here, or just an interesting fact that it was Milica who won this competition that we ran, and I'm not sure if we are going to repeat it anytime soon. But Milica was the one who won this, right? Milica, I don't know if you have any comments on that, but
Not yet a career as a LinkedIn influencer. I don't know if anyone does, but I'm working on it. So you never know.
so next one up is this. This one is on Lovable. Zach, you built this one too. So want to share the context? Was this one,
Yes.
by the way, built when we went to Athens for? Was it for this video recording, or
Not
not
really.
related?
I will share the case. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, after a couple of, let's say, posts that I saw on LinkedIn, I thought that video is actually more valuable than ever. And I also came up to an experiment. Actually, this was also from the recordings that you do in that studio back in Athens a couple of months ago. And I said, you know what? The only content format that I believe uh, that will remain as is in the future and actually builds, let's say, this personalization, and also can build really well your brand and brand awareness, is actually showing your face out there and creating content in a video format, which is more novel. It's harder to, let's say, replicate. It requires some time to create, edit, and so on. And also, yeah, I mean, it's something that can differentiate you for sure. So I said, you know what? I will do an experiment. I will try to create a tool like a teleprompter, but in the aesthetics and in the way that I want a teleprompter to be. And if you type anything there, and if you go to the let's say the teleprompter, you will see that there is also a table. You can read the content. You can also see yourself. There is a placeholder, and because most of the content that I'm producing is from a camera, from a mobile, actually, the cam of my phone, I can see the placeholder where I should be, let's say, stand in the overall background and so on. So it's really easy for me to know what I'm recording at this point. And yeah, from there I can also download it and so on. So it's really easy. I can, let's say, read the transcripts. I can create content at scale and produce, let's say, videos on a bulk. And actually, this is working quite well on platforms like YouTube and others. Like recently, we also published something in a similar way on Minutia's YouTube, like a short about best AO and best geo agencies. and both videos are now featured in the first page of SERPs, have got real estate there and so on. But yeah, actually this was built on Lovable, really easy to build as well. I just described the need, what I want, also the same case that I upload the brand colors, the brand identity and so on. And it needed a couple of iterations regarding how the camera works, the placeholder and so on. But yeah, I mean, it took some time, but it does the work. And I mean, I can now record videos at scale on big batches, and yeah, it makes me much more productive.
Okay, okay, that's great. Thank you. So I'm going to quickly run you through a few other tools that we have. Actually, the third one, this one is again from Zach. So before I share the next five before the workflow, Zach, again, if you could share the thoughts, or the thought
Yeah,
process, and like what went into this one, also what it is and what it does.
yeah. From the technical standpoint, I would say that this one was much more complex and more difficult. I had to, let's say, uh, do many conversations with the AI platforms in order to achieve the result. But pretty much this is like a Loom clone. I hope that we don't have any, let's say, legal issues with Loom. But yeah, this is a Loom clone. And actually, to be honest, the idea is that we say that a few, let's say, software at this point and a few use cases of a couple of software are actually commoditized, and you can easily build or replicate them using uh, AI and web-based builders like Lovable or Bolt, and this is actually built on Lovable. As I mentioned, this is a Loom clone. What it does is that you can prepare the folders, the spaces, let's say for clients or internal spaces. You can invite the members of your team, and from there you can just record your screen, share yourself, and so on. It can also can generate transcripts for the videos. I have also connected OpenAI's Whisper API, which also actually provides the transcript and everything. You can download the video, you can annotate them, you can download the transcript. Pretty much is a pretty much similar situation with what Loom does, just these specific use cases, not everything that this tool does. And yeah, I can say that these tools, as that one that you can see at this point, is not, let's say, for commercial use. I don't say that it's perfect by any means, or that it don't have, let's say, any security issues and so on. But for internal use, yeah, I mean, it works quite well. So yeah, pretty much that's the case. Regarding
Yeah,
that, yeah,
yeah, your final point is a good one, and one thing I would like to highlight that even though one of the tools we will share later, obviously, you know, we have clients who use it. We share like shareable reports with clients. Still, for the most part, we are talking about tools that are not for commercial use. These are internal use cases, and obviously, you have to be very careful with these tools because there are many like security and reliability, I would say, implications and considerations. Okay, so next one is actually something that we call Service Navigator, and that we've started like using in sales calls. We have some work to do in terms of the text and whatnot, but this is actually a tool that helps us build cases on uh, whether a client needs. It's like a you know diagnostic tool. Helps us just uh, understand where and help clients actually understand where they fall. If, for example, they have a content inventory and they don't need content support, these are the services we can match against their current situation, and so on and so on, right? And this was based on like internal discussions we had. Very often we need to like visually explain and show to prospects and even clients, for that matter, um, why we recommend the services we recommend. Obviously, very often clients come with very specific needs in mind, but very often than not, like we have the more often than not, like we have the case where someone will come and they just like wait from us to tell them what they need, right? And we want, even though we obviously have a way deeper understanding that this matrix, still a small like sales tool or resource asset, however you want, whatever you want to call it, helps us kind of frame things better. Okay. Another one which I actually built just yesterday, and we already shipped a few of these files, is this one, where you just come here, add the brand name and the website, and request an AI info page. And what the tool does is that it conducts research. I think it's using I'm not sure of the exact model, but it uses the API we have connected here is ChatGPT, OpenAI, and not sure of the exact model, but it's in web search and thinking mode. And what it does, is it generates a super comprehensive page in TXT format or piece of text, with all the information that we should include in an AI info page, right? Which in most cases we have live under uh, llms.txt, and we share that with the client. Obviously, they may want to, like make some adjustments and whatnot, edits, and then we upload it, and that's it, right? This is an amazing tool, and I built it on Laravel in just a few hours. It needed a bit of refinement, as every Laravel project, but it works, and it works really well now for the use case that we needed. Another one, this one helps us turn, as the title suggests, keywords into prompts. And what this does basically is that we come here and we input like a list of keywords, up to 20 at a time per session, and then the brand website, how many prompts we want to generate per keyword, a description of the brand and the target audience, and then our tool turns the keywords into prompts. Okay. This one we shared, like, I don't know, a few couple of months ago, so it's publicly available. Anyone can use it, really, and it helps us when setting up AI search tracking reports for prospects and clients, which is the next one. So this one has been one of the most, I would say, challenging and ambitious ones that I've worked on. This is a tool that we use for like two core use cases. The first one is obviously for our clients, AI for AI search tracking, and then also for prospects. Because if you visit Minutia's website, you will see that we have an announcement bar that prompts you to request an AEO report for free, and we get many of these requests that we need to fulfill. And so we built this tool to help us with these two use cases. Now I must admit that, and this is one of the limitations, really, one of the main core limitations of these like vibe coding tools and like these internal use case tools that we built, is that they are not reliable in general. Okay. I've we found ourselves in several cases in situations where we had to jump on a call with a client or a prospect, and something was not working, and I had to jump in and just have had to vibe code and like go back and forth with the tool to understand what's going on. Things that you considered like established, like, yeah, this is working now and like things are good, um, they break all of a sudden, and you simply can't understand why. Regardless, and all these things aside, like now we are looking for an engineer to basically help us not kind of bring this to market, because we are not planning to go commercial with this, because the internal use case is enough for us at this point, but to make sure that it's reliable, that it's secure, and that we share something that's actually has substance and value, right? We use several APIs here. The main search AI search engines that we pull API requests from, and we can argue all day long about whether you should scrape or API requests are enough for AI search. I have like opinions here, but this is not the point of the live stream. But we use Gemini, Perplexity, and ChatGPT, right? And we have all sorts of things like, here we have the overview with the visibility score, zero voice, average position, just a lay of the land. Then we have visibility by topic. We define the topics and then the prompts for each of these topics. And we also have, for the reports that are active, we have a like a weekly cadence. And if there are any updates, like you can see them here. And then like we have various other things, like from the setup standpoint, we have the brand, and where you add like the brand name and competitors and so on and so forth. Then we have the prompts, and then we also have evaluation attributes and evaluation prompts. And in terms of the insights, you have the overview, which is where we are right now, but you also have visibility with citations, with fan out queries, and so on. You have accessibility, where we basically audit, whether their website is accessible, if they are blocking any AI search engine crawlers, if they have an LLMS.txt file, and so on and so forth. And we also have perception, which is work in progress. And I think that this will be one of the things that we will develop with the like engineer or the team we will work with to to build this, right? I don't know if anyone has any comments. If not, I can jump to the next kind of segment, which is workflows.
About this since I've been using it a bit over the past few weeks. So yeah, it is, except for the few reliability issues you mentioned, I do find this a very useful tool to help me gauge the overall AI visibility health of a brand. So in terms of citations, in terms of how the brand is seen, how it's mentioned throughout AI, accessibility, what bots can crawl it, and so on and so forth. It really provides a quick glance and as well as an in-depth view of each brand and how to handle it going forward. What would be It gives you pretty good insights into how to uh, use it for developing the brand on AI search.
I think that like with everything, there are some pros and some cons when it comes to building something yourself. For example, one of the pros, because we discussed, I covered some of the cons, but one of the pros is that you think of something, you can just build it, right? So for example, we want to have shareable reports. We just added the ability to share a report right away. Whereas with a software as a service, yeah, you would have to submit a ticket, and if that ever gets on a Jira pipeline, it will be materialized, I don't know, 6 months down the line, or it may not be a high priority part of the roadmap for this year or quarter. I mean, here you have flexibility, right? And we also see cases, for example, just a few weeks ago, we had a case where there was no visibility whatsoever, right? The brand was not detected, nothing. And it was due to, in my view, like a migration that they did that went really, really, that was handled poorly and went really wrong. Um, and we couldn't, like, we thought that there was something wrong with the tool, but it turned out that it was, there was something wrong with the brand, right? And its visibility in AI search. So there are pros and cons. I guess you just have to, you know, um, weigh these things and like see what's kind of most important to you, right? I think that if anything, this tool, we will keep using it. Just we also have other layers. For example, we use Ahrefs for tracking AI search visibility and whatnot, as an extra layer of how we go about this particular thing. So yeah. So moving on, the next actually this is the last one of the last tool, maybe not the best, but what this is basically a GPT. And what we did here is that there was a study by Kevin and Dig, and the study had like a few findings, and we took those findings and tried to turn it into an AEO content optimizer. Now, to be completely honest, this I would say is not working exactly as I would like it to work. There is definitely room for improvement. I mean, this is in general something I've been facing with GPTs. I'm not sure if you know they are the best way to go about building these tools, because there are other ways. Very often I find even a very good prompt to be better than a GPT, right? So yeah, that's that. And now let's skip to workflows. We have one workflow for you folks that I'm going to go through. This one we built a few weeks ago. And by the way, let me just say that we are not new into workflows. We've been using workflow tools such as Aerops and whatnot, but we had the need of faster and better, more in-depth content briefs that like are very focused on certain aspects of content production, such as information gain. And so I thought, okay, why don't we try like Zapier for that? Okay. And so just to quickly walk you through here, and we will see the output of this workflow to see what it looks like actually. How this starts is, and I have a video coming up on YouTube, I guess, in a few days. But how this works is that like our team goes on Notion, because this is the tool we use for project management, and there is a form, and they submit a form, and in that form they have 4 fields. They have the keyword, they have the name of the client, they have the country, and they also have the language. The country and the language are, you could argue, an overkill, but they are important because they are needed in the third step, which is you know extraction of Google search results through data for SEOs API. Okay, and so once there is a submission, the workflow triggers, and there is a mapping. There's a map of the brand name to the domain of like that brand, um, and then based on that domain, we and the keyword, actually, not the domain. Sorry, we extract the certain number of search results. We get these URLs that have been extracted, and we create a loop. Now, this is one of the biggest limitations for me for Zapier, and I really, I wonder how they haven't like fixed that yet. That once you enter a loop inside Zapier, the only way to exit the loop is by adding a filter, which doesn't make sense whatsoever, right? Because as you can see here, you can see it even visually. There is this kind of very thin kind of um, line that represents the loop. Uh, and even though we exit the loop in step 7, you would assume that, yeah, like this whole thing from step 5 onwards is a loop, which is not the case. Anyway, I don't want to get like too technical or whatnot, but what happens next is that we create a loop for each of the URLs that we extracted from the search results, and we extract the outlines from each of these pages. Then after we do that for all, let's say we have 18 URLs, we do that for all 18 URLs, and then we have this filter to exit the loop. Not according to Zapier, at least visually, but you actually exit the loop. Okay, but once you do that, Then we have three steps where we have Claude involved in outline creation, content instructions creation, and SEO information creation. Okay, so the first one um, takes all these outlines and whatnot and builds our outline for this piece of content by identifying gaps that these other pieces are missing and that we should, include in our piece. Then we have content instructions. You will see what that looks like in a minute. And then SEO information, I would say the least important of the three, which is basically, title tag, meta description, the URL flag, based on like a certain pattern and so on. And lastly, once these things are performed, then we add the output to a new Google Doc, and we send a message on a Slack channel, um, so that the team member that requested this brief gets notified, and knows that there has been a new document that was created. You can go and take a look at it and move it to the right client folder. Obviously, work on it and improve upon it, and share it with the client. Now, and I would like to hear from Adrian and Melissa, who are basically the people who like use this, have used this. But just a quick like walkthrough here. We have the content instructions, and there is this is work in progress, by the way. This workflow, right? It's not perfect by no means. But personally, I don't know. But personally, I see a lot of value in it, right? Like you get five variations of a working title as part of the content instruction section. You can see here that we have like pain points, jobs to be done, our angle, and so on. This particular one is for Minuttia. Best AU agencies is the term to create, a nasty little listicle that will put us at the top of, the search engine results page. You see how Minutia fits in and so on. And then you have all these insights. And also we pulled some data from data for SEO, such as, is there an AI overview in this particular SERP and so on. The SERP features, which also inform the AI for content repurposing purposes, competing content, useful resources, and so on and so on. Then you have the outline. And lastly, you have the SEO information. Okay, I will hit a pause here because I may think that this is actually valuable and like super good, but obviously it's work in progress. But I would like to hit a pause and hear from Melissa and Adrian, because I would really like to hear how they feel about it and how they see it.
Yeah, if Melissa is okay, I could go first to say a few words about it. Yeah, I've used it. So for a long time, my job was to create briefs. And when this tool came along, it really, really sped up the process. And to my astonishment and pleasant surprise, it was really good, especially, but not exclusively, in terms of information that's useful for the writer, as in the target audience, the even the brand, how each company fits into the article. I mean, it gives so the details are so specific that actually help the writers, I think, help the writers create quality content. In terms, even as additional insights, it provides like things that you wouldn't expect in terms of what to include. And in terms of structure, I'm also pleasantly surprised to see that it follows like a good article structure, in terms of sections, in terms of what to include in each section, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's true. I mean, it is a work in progress. There are a few things still that may still need to be worked out. A few things that may not work as well, such, for example, the URLs that it suggests, particularly the ones for internal linking, may sometimes be
That's
finicky.
one of the things I wanted to highlight, because you see here link from, right, and it shows you that you can link from the blog, services, case studies, which doesn't really make sense. When I saw that,
Exactly.
I went back to the prompt for that particular, like step of or section of the brief. And I, like I added a rule or instruction that we should avoid um, URLs with little to no editorial control, such as services, case studies, and so on. It should be content pages, right?
Yeah,
Meaning
yeah,
that, like, you just need to refine, right?
yeah. And of course, can't take anything for granted, just a copy paste kind of thing. You still need to look through it, to study it, but it does help a lot. So yeah, I'm happy with this tool too.
Yeah, Milica.
Yeah, I only tried it a couple of times because I'm not the one who creates briefs, right? But I was really impressed by the detail. I was impressed by how it takes into account the competitor pieces in the search results and sort of angles your own piece according to them. Sort of like they have this, we should have this, but they don't have this, but they should, so we should have that instead of them, etc. So because my responsibility in Minuttia for about a year and a half was to create briefs. I'm very sad that this wasn't available back then. But yeah, it's a really useful tool. I'm glad Adrian thinks so. I'm glad it reduces the time to create briefs. I think that's really important.
Yeah, yeah, and we will improve it further. I mean, that's the only that's for sure, right? We will improve it further. Um, so that's it with workflows. The last piece, or the last segment rather, was microsites. And I guess Milica and Adrian are not aware of this yet. I've been, I thought there are so many like research pieces and studies and reports and whatnot about AI search, since it's kind of an emerging channel, right, for marketing. So why don't we, first for ourselves, but then for other people, why don't we like gather all these sources somewhere and package them in a way so that, let's say Milica has a client call and needs a, like, the client asks her, okay, do we have any benchmarks regarding that? Okay, so you can go here and just quickly find a benchmark and just copy it and share it with the client or whatnot, right? But beyond that, so the the upper section of this is where you can add blocks with that you would like to highlight, right? With data from studies and so on. Like for example, here you can see that we have one from a report that we did about the AI search tracking tools category, and we identified more than 176 of these tools and so on. And you can click here and like it takes you to the study, and then the lower part is with all the research. This is work in progress, by the way. That's why you see lorem ipsum and so on. As I shared, like I think the team is not aware of this yet because we have to actually go back and just fact check and just review every single entry here because it's basically researched by AI, right? But let's say the client asks, okay, or whomever, can we do we have any data on AI overviews? You can come here and like click AI overviews, and you can see all the studies on the web for AI overviews, right? And the way I think about it, like I would like this to serve as a, as I said, like a microsite that we have for like using internally, but also for other people to come and just find, because there's so much information out there. How can you possibly like be aware of everything at any given point? So having something like this, even though like looks simple, but I think can really help just get information fast. And yeah, let me share, stop sharing. I guess you guys didn't know about this, right? The Yeah.
No, I do have questions though, but maybe once you polish it.
No, you can ask. I don't mind.
No, but I didn't understand. So where does it pull the numbers from? From each article or study?
So no, actually, let me see if I can go to wait. The highlights at the top, you can just you add whatever you want. Okay, so these are, wait a minute, no. So these are added by you. Like you can choose which highlights you would like to highlight and so on. And then
And then
the same
the
for
same for
the
the
database. It's just, you know, data entry basically.
I see. Okay. I understand, I think.
Yeah, let me, if I can just, if I can sign in, I can show you what this looks like in the back end. Okay, I think I found it. Let me see. Because I think it's interesting because for most of these tools, people who are watching this need to know that you basically need to have, and it's, in fact, it's recommended to have a well, an admin panel, right? So this is what the admin looks like. Okay, Milita, you have blocks, you have databases, you have team access, and so on. But I can come here and add a block, right? I don't know, 12,000, yeah, 500. This is from HubSpot, and category, it pulls from the tags we have in the research in the database, ChatGPT, let's say, and so on and so forth. And then you create the block, and that's a block that's, you know, like you can see it at the upper part of the 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 microsite or whatever you want to call it. And the same with the database. Like you can come here, you can like just delete rows, you can add new rows, and so on. Okay, can you add new rows? I'm pressing this, but anyway, you know, you get the point, right? So
I get the
that's what it
point,
works.
yeah.
There is an admin like area where you can go and you can just add, remove things, items, and yeah.
I mean, out of all this conversation, there are a few things that I would say are common denominators or something like that in most cases you will need many iterations, experimentation for sure, a human in the loop, I mean, to all these processes, even though the research in the last, let's say, microsite George shared, even though there is a database with pieces from, let's say, LLMs, you still need, and we should work on that, to have someone from our team review all the responses and everything that is there, adjust it, and actually share information that are relevant, let's say, and accurate. So yeah, I mean, in all, let's say, use cases that we shared at this point, a human in the loop is really important, at least for the time being. So yeah.
Yeah, if it weren't important, like we wouldn't be here, right? I think that if anything, all these things um, like make the presence of humans not just in the loop as like a gear inside this machine, but as the initiator, facilitator, orchestrator, you know, all the more important. So um, I think that, as I see it, it's a great tool that helps you do things, move faster, be more efficient. But there's no doubt that, like, you know, you should have humans to orchestrate all that. Milita, Adrian, any closing remarks from you, like in terms of, you know, use cases that you like find particularly useful, or any thoughts you may have about like how we use AI at Minuttia and in general?
I actually had many thoughts on what lovable thing could I vibe code to help me at Minusha. Um, to be honest, the first thing that I landed on was internal reports. Our internal reports are Google Sheets at the moment, which aren't aesthetically pleasing or very automated, maybe. And I think they could be much better. So something that visually looks like the graphs in the AO report, that would be amazing to sort of instantly give us an overview of weekly progress, monthly progress without manually inputting everything. That would be, I think, a step in the right direction.
I think it really depends on where the information lives. If you have the information, for example, in Notion and maybe in a couple of files in Google Drive, then through an MCP, actually you can chat with the data, right? And you can request in like Claude or ChatGPT, give me an overview of where we are with like this deliverable or whatever it may be that you're looking for, right? And asking. Um, so it really depends on where the information lives, because like I prepared a video in the morning where like I basically chat with Ahrefs data for a particular domain. Okay. And so now, because now you can do that, right? So now you can do that. And so in this use case, I have no doubt that it can be solved. But it really depends whether where the information lives and whether where the information lives is something that like is accessible um, through a connector and so on from the LLM.
That was my thought as well, because we are now transferring everything to Notion, I guess. Then my hope was that it would be more accessible than it is not, than it was
Notion,
before.
it is super accessible in Notion. And by the way, even if it's not like through an LLM, you can just use Notion's AI to ask the question. But from a dashboarding, you know, I would like it to look more beautiful standpoint. Yeah, I would say even even in Notion, like you can do that. Like their AI is surprisingly good and surprisingly expensive, but it's good, you know. So yeah, Adrian, any last kind of thoughts or from you?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, in terms of how I see AI helping us further, it's kind of in the same vein as Milica mentioned, trying to eliminate or streamline the grunt work as much as possible, the back and forth, the line by line, the tables, the pulling the information from, I don't know, Google Search Console, from Google Analytics, from Ahrefs, from SEMrush, from these places, aggregating it and stuff like this. Yeah, I mean the grunt work of putting the information together. Yeah, that if the more we do automate this, the more time we have to focus on what really matters and where the human really shines. I mean,
By the way, on that, that's what I said the other. That's what I meant the other day when I said that. You know, as I explained earlier, we get these requests for AO reports, and we get back to them to the like company or prospect, whatever you want to call them, and we don't just share the report, but we also give them a quick overview of their performance and so on. And so that was the thing I shared the other day internally, that now this like if we can chat with Ahrefs data through like ChatGPT, for example, you know, like this makes the process all the more streamlined and like faster, because you have kind of like a prompt and you request specific data, you get the data, then you can have another prompt, package it in an email. That's it, right? Like
yeah,
from, I don't know, 1 to 1.5 hours per report request, AO report request fulfillment, to, I don't know, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe
yeah,
even less.
agreed.
I don't know. So, Zach, any final thoughts? I saw Eleni also joined us. I don't know, Eleni, if you're still here with us.
I am, yes. It's just my
Okay,
camera is off.
no worries. Would you like to add anything before we go?
I think I'm with Millie on what she said in terms of keeping track of things. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like very tech savvy myself, but I feel like if this can really help us, change the way we basically do less manual work, like having to manually update spreadsheets and stuff like that, I would be very happy.
I think that's doable. Like
Yeah.
you just said that to the AI whisperer. And by the way, I'm just looking to buy the AI whisperer domain as we speak. But um, like this is totally, you know, like doable right now. But again, it really depends. Yeah, on 100K. So I'm not buying this today, but so that's totally doable. Totally doable. As long as the information is accessible, you can access it and just package it, you know, however you like, right? It's crazy. Yesterday, interestingly, and I guess we can close with that. I had a call with a friend. Uh, he's from the US, and you know he's been building like companies and tech and so on. And he was like, you know, are you into these things? And I was like, yes, a lot. And he's like, I can show you what I'm building. And I'm like, please go ahead. And he started showing me what he's building, right? And so what he shared with me is that basically he's building a new like business inside Slack, right, with OpenClaw, and all the directions he gives and all the information and everything is inside Slack. So he's calling his agent from Slack, you know, sharing tasks, like producing like crazy volumes of content on different platforms and whatnot. We can argue about, you know, the quality and, you know, the effectiveness and whatnot, but I think that, you know, but still there is a human brain behind all that trying to orchestrate that, you know, like I think that if anything, like people like us who use AI like responsibly and to add value, not just to extract value, right? Charge you more so that I can earn more and so on. If anything, like we will win in this environment, right? Because like we are more efficient, we add more value, and yeah, like I think that AI is a great like catalyst for value creation in this environment. Anyone
I totally,
else?
yeah.
Anything to add? Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, George, and everything you shared. I mean, I see it as that the change is inevitable, and in some cases, you just have to follow the wave and go through it and being upfront. And I mean, by the end of the day, there are so many things, even not complex one or things that you have, let's say, to be a tech savvy or I don't know, proficient with technology. I mean, there are countless of use cases, daily use cases. I mean, that we do in our day to day that can make us, let's say, more productive, more, let's say, fast and so on. So yeah, I mean, we can build more things. We can, let's say, create things that are actually boring in most cases. And yeah, we can just create all this stuff inside LLMs right now using web-based builders and so on. I can say that, okay, there is a learning curve for sure, but it's not something like that. It's not doable at this point, at least. And I can only imagine the future. I don't know, in 6 months from now, most likely it will be way easier. So yeah, I think that like all of us should start, let's say, using these tools, even for, I don't know, small things. It doesn't have to be something, let's say, the next Amazon or building a business. I mean, if so, that's great, but there are countless use cases that we can, let's say, automate.
I agree. I agree. We will be sharing more. Okay. I think that we should make that like a series. How we do X at Minuttia, right? So this was how we use AI at Minuttia. Next one could be how we like onboard clients at Minuttia. How we, you know, create content briefs at Minuttia. How we like, you know, whatever. I think we should turn it into a like a series. We'll see if we do. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you, and stay tuned, right?
Thank you.